All right, how is it going today, everyone? Got a little exciting thing I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and do a tier list video today. Today we're doing TV shows and movies that I have reviewed on this channel this past year. I was hoping to get this out a little bit earlier, but circumstances as they were just didn't happen. So I'm getting it to you now. And I'm hoping that I can kind of keep doing these every year on the channel to really like allow you guys to get a sense of like where like maybe like if you don't want to watch every single one of my reviews, like this is like maybe a good spot to like pick and choose maybe what you are most interested about based on what I say here. So we're gonna go through these. We're just gonna start going through them from all the way down. So Suicide Squad 2, I think that's the 2021 version that just came out. I think it just came out last year. Yeah. So some context. I haven't personally really liked most of the DC cinematic universe stuff. I feel like early on with it, like I saw the first Suicide Squad and I felt like I kind of got like burned. I didn't feel like they were super well written movies. And don't get me wrong, Marvel has had some things that have not been good for sure. But like I just felt like it was so consistently they were trying so hard to copy the MCU without doing the setup work that the MCU did initially. Like they were trying to skip from excuse me, voice is going out a little bit there. They were trying to go from, like nothing to like the Avengers 1 right away. So like for Justice League example, I don't feel like they did enough setup for that. So I was very skeptical about watching this movie. But honestly, like one thing I really enjoyed about it was that they did such a good job of kind of like playing off the first one of just like how bad it was with their intro scene, and like it was really cool, and I actually really appreciated that a lot. So I'm going to stick this solid B tier. I almost want to put it in A because I did have a really good time watching this movie. I do think it's a solid movie. I don't know, for me, that's an A tier movie. So for me, like S tier is like amazing, absolutely like highly recommend to everyone. A is like very good, very still very good. B is like my like this is a good movie. Might not be for everyone, but I think it's definitely something some people will really enjoy. C is like my like if it's your flavor, and then D's like I don't know about that one. Okay, Black Widow's next. So, give me a sec. Remember how I said MCU has had some not so great things? Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and stick that right there. Now, I am not a huge comic book reader. I think I've made that very apparent on this channel as I've reviewed MCU and stuff like that. And I do really enjoy the MCU, but that's because I love like really deep fantasy. Oh, that's getting a little cut off. Hold on. Let's shift this up just a little bit more. That should be fine. So I was actually really excited about this movie, and there were elements of it that were like okay. Yelena was a lot of fun, and I think she kind of was the best part about this movie. But the problem is like this movie should not have been after the events of Endgame. It just doesn't, like, it's trying to do this flashback basically, and like I get it. You want to get Black Widow a solo movie, but this movie should have been made way earlier in the MCU. This should not have taken this long to make in the first place. And then part of the reason that I felt like, I mean, there was a lot of things that I was just like, I wasn't impressed by Taskmaster. I wasn't really impressed by I thought the main villain guy was like nice and creepy, like really creepy. But there were no stakes in this movie because we already know what happens to Black Widow. So we know what has to happen. It doesn't, it doesn't give any like, there's no like deep, like fear for the character at all. There's nothing that I can like latch on to because it's like, oh, we already know like what, like this is just a setup movie for Yelena and setting up like more like the next Black Widow basically. That is it. And the thing that's kind of sucks is like I do really like the after credit scene, but it also kind of ruins it because now you can't like if you've never watched any MCU movie and you're watching them in order, you can't watch this and watch the end credit scene prior to Endgame because it spoils Endgame. So I don't know. It's a D tier movie for me. I'm sorry. All right, The Boys. Technically, I've only reviewed season 1 on this channel. I have watched season 2, and I've intended to review season 2, but it's one of those things where like I was gonna review it, and then it's been so long since I've actually watched it that I kind of like need to go rewatch it to actually give it like a good review. But if I'm going just off season 1, this is S tier for sure. Season 2 I think is still really solid, and I'm struggling because like I think season 2 is, or season 1 is like almost perfect. Season 2 adds in a little bit of it adds I don't know, there's just like I don't think there's as much that I had to like. There's some really good elements too, like I thought Stormfront was really good, but there were just some parts of it that I was just like about. I felt like the story of season 1 was a bit more compelling, and season 2 they just, I don't know, I feel like they just needed a little bit more. And we'll see what happens with season 3 because I think that comes out this year, and I'm excited to watch it still. I'm gonna probably put this in high A tier. We'll see where it fits out in the long term. But I really enjoy this show, and like I'm like it's either high A or low S, and I might end up moving it up to S tier just depending on where I place everything else at as we go through this. So that's the one I might be changing. So don't kill me if like The Boys is one of your favorite shows. I like, again, this like these are all my personal preferences. This is what I personally think where I'm rating them. You are more than welcome to have different opinions than me. So and likely many of you will have different opinions than me. So okay. Bridgerton. Okay. I don't like this show. I don't like it at all. It's not marketed towards me. Totally fine. I do branch out of the realm of what's marketed towards, a white man quite a bit. Just because, like, as someone who loves writing, I don't want to limit myself to this, like, this is what I should be watching. I like to branch out and see other elements of storytelling. I have significant problems with this show. I know a lot of people really like it, but I have significant like writing problems with this show, and the relationship between these two characters, there are elements of it where it was really good, and then there was elements of it that it was super toxic. And I think that is absolutely a shame for a show that's focused on romance, because I don't like when, like, to make conflict, you got to make this artificial conflict by making their relationship toxic instead of having them unite together. And, like, yeah, there can be problems with the relationship that they need to fix, as there are with a lot of relationships. But there were, like, most of the conflict in the later half of the season was caused by miscommunication between them and, like, literally hurt feelings and kind of, I mean, she pretty much straight up rapes him. Like, just saying. So it's I don't like that show. If you want to know more about it or you disagree, I understand. I know a lot of people like it. It's definitely not for me. I probably will not watch season 2 of it. Yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. All right. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Boom. This is, and I have a personal bias towards this show because this is one of my favorite shows of all time. I absolutely, I have not reviewed season 3 yet, which is a shame because I really enjoy it a lot. There are elements of season 1 that I think are really, really slow, but over the course of the entirety of the show, I think it is it is a masterpiece of a show. There are so many good character arcs that are somewhat subtle throughout the show, and this is a kid's show, and they do just such a good job. I really enjoy it a lot. I highly recommend this show to everyone, and I feel like a lot of people have watched it now. There's a resurgence of people watching it. It's great. I love it. This might be one of my top. This will probably be one of the tops of my list. So, Jujutsu Kaisen. So, my instinct wants to put it S because I really enjoyed season 1. However, I'm actually going to put it A, and I'm going to put it below The Boys. Only because of I only have one season to go off of right now. And while season 1 is good, and I think is, for me personally, I really loved this show. And I think it's a really good time. It really depends on where the show goes in season 2 and beyond for me. And I think that it could have the potential to be an S tier, but I have to see what's left. I really need to see what else is there. So, I'm going to leave it there for right now. Venom versus Carnage. I'm going to put it as a C tier. There are some cool parts about it. I don't think it was I was entertained while watching it. It's not something I'm going out of my way to watch again. Honestly, my favorite part of that movie was the end credit scene when they did the multiverse stuff, and I really enjoyed. I thought that was really cool. Which, if you haven't watched it yet, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but I guess you'll find out. It's okay. It's definitely needs some. It definitely was not one of my favorite things, but it was entertaining to watch. Invincible. Okay. This is another hard one for me because this is an A or an S tier for me. I'm going to put it A tier, above The Boys. I think a lot of people will give me, disagree with me on this. I think a lot of people are this is an S tier show. Again, I only have one season to work with. It's hard for me to judge it based off the entirety of the context that we don't have yet, because I do think season 1 was near masterpiece level. It was really, really, really good. I want to see where it goes from here. And I think because the first season is all the setup, and I want to see some of these payoffs in the long term. I want to see this story progress, and I think that they've got the potential to really make this amazing. I need more from it before I can move it up to S tier for myself. Okay. Dune. Solid A. It's I would say solid A. Now, it's cinematically beautiful. It's really, really awesome. I actually watched this before I read the book. It doesn't a lot of elements of it I think are amazing. I think with part 2 together, they'll be probably an S tier together for me. But this ends on such an awkward note, the first part, and now that I've read the book, I understand why they ended it where they ended it at, and I appreciate it. I understand it from a storytelling perspective, but the problem is this is not a complete movie. This is half of a story, and it's cut in the middle of the rising actions of the story. It's there's no conclusion. It's just cut. And that is, again, in the context of having both films, it's going to be wonderful. The problem is we're not getting another film for a while, and I understand like that's just how the process is going to be. That's partially on the studio, but it's not like it's beautiful. It's a wonderful like world building, and I really think they do an excellent job setting it up. But again, not a complete movie for me. So, okay, Raya and the Last Dragon. I'm gonna say mid to low B. I liked this. I thought it was really cool. I like fantasy elements a lot. So this was kind of cool. I mean, it's a Disney movie. I think a lot of Disney movies are pretty solid. I thought this one was pretty solid. It's got a lot of good elements to it. That's basically all I'm gonna say about it. It's good. It's just not like blow your socks off good. Okay, Loki. This is tough. I think that the ending of Loki is absolutely amazing. I loved the last episode. I think the show itself is really good. I actually think I'm going to put it above. This is a tough one. I'm probably going to put it above Dune, but not above Jujutsu Kaisen. I really liked Jujutsu Kaisen a lot. I'm excited to get a second season of Loki. I was super pumped when I found that out, that they were going to be doing another season. I know a lot of people give it, some crap for the basically speed running this Loki variant's character development, because obviously like the Loki we knew, spoiler for anyone who's not seen up through Infinity War yet, but the Loki we knew is dead. We get the variant, right? And they speedrun his character basically to catch it up to where that Loki was. So they're essentially reviving him. And as a story element, yeah, that's kind of cheating. You're basically just resurrecting the character more than anything. I don't really care. I think it's fun. I really liked I really like Loki as a character, and I liked the aspect of him being more on the heroic side in this element. I thought it was really solid. I thought it was a good time. I think I might have watched it twice already. Like, it was really good. I wanted to go back and watch it again. So I'm gonna put it there. I'm excited to see where this goes. But it's yeah, I think right there is probably a good spot for it. Hawkeye. I'm gonna put this in C. Now the question is it above Venom or is it below Venom? I'm gonna put it above Venom. These two are really close for me. Like, this show is okay. It's not great, I don't think. Like, but there were elements to it. I mean, most of this show was, for me, Hawkeye was used, and a lot of these MCU Phase 4 stuff has been used to set up new stuff. It's been, and I think that's, some people have had a real problem with that, and I understand that, because it's more about like them putting the pieces back on the board, because they just knocked they just cleaned the board off with Endgame basically, and was like a very concluding point. So they're doing a lot of setting up Next Generation, setting up more characters. Like, they did a lot of setting up new characters in this, giving Hawkeye a little bit more of a backstory, or not backstory, but like a little bit more like consequences of what's happened when he's running around with these basically superhumans, and he's just a guy with a bow. There are a couple scenes in this that I really enjoy, but a lot of the time I was kind of like, can we get to the point, please? And I think the Kate Bishop Yelena fight was the most fun in this show. As they're complimenting each other fighting, but I didn't really like. I don't want to spoil anything, but I didn't really like the ending scene cut. So those who have watched it will know what I mean. I think that was just like, don't do that. don't pretend like off-screen stuff matters, because it doesn't. So yeah, it's okay. Again, it's mostly a setup, and it's fine. It did its job, I guess. So, Dragon Prince. Okay. I mean, I think we're supposed to be getting more seasons of this. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm not super tied into the loop on that, but this is tough. Season 1 and 2 for the show were like, to me, were absolutely perfect pacing. They were exactly how fast this show should go. And it is meant for kids, but it was like really, really well done, and they were super consistent, and like the character building and stuff like that was really, really great. Season 3 was like 3 seasons jammed together, and I talked about this in my season 3 review. I think this is gonna go below Dune. I'm gonna have to I'm probably gonna end up moving some of these higher A's up to S in the end. We'll see. This is a good show, and I really, really enjoy it a lot. But I feel like they got rushed because they didn't know they were going to get renewed or not for more seasons with season 3. And it's a shame, because if they would have given like this first arc the 5 seasons that it definitely deserved, this would, and like the seasons were not long, right? They were like, like 8 episodes, I think, a piece. Like, I finished watching this in literally a weekend. I watched all 3 seasons in one weekend, and I had plenty of other time. If this would have gotten the 5 seasons it deserved for these first 3 seasons, I think this show would be absolutely perfect. And then obviously, if we get more, we're supposed to be getting more. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe someone can mention it in the comments if they know what's going on. And that might change the context as we get more material. But for this first 3 season arc, low A. Again, I personally really love it. I think there are significant problems with the last season. And it's not not their fault, but it's just a situation in which they were stuck. It's, the hand they were dealt. So, the Green Knight. Now, let me say this before I rank the Green Knight. I think The Green Knight as an artistic film is amazing. I think that there is definitely a very particular audience for it. I don't think the marketing did a good job of marketing to that audience, because it very much felt like when I was watching marketing for this that it was going to be, and I didn't know the studio. My fiance has watched the studio stuff before, A24 or something like that. And like I've heard of it from friends and colleagues who are really into that kind of stuff. It is not my jam. I like very much plot structures and character development and stuff like that. And honestly, as much as I love writing and stuff like that, I like digging into the thematical structure, like the thematics of a straightforward story, but I want the story to really like impact me in certain ways, and like artistic style films like this do not do it for me. That is nothing against the film, but it does not work for me personally. So for me, I probably will put this in, I'm going to put it in C, because I don't think it deserves to be in D. I don't think it's at this level, but it is not, it is not for me. It might be for you. It is not for me. Okay, The Witcher. Season 1 and Season 2. I think Season 2 just released, so on my channel. So, yeah, let's go ahead and stick that up there. I have not reviewed the Witcher books on this channel. I have read them prior to starting this channel. I know a lot of people love the books. And I have only played like an hour of the game, although I do own it. I have not played through it, mostly just because of time commitments and stuff like that. I know people who do not like the show so far. I am not one of those people. I think they are doing an excellent job with the show. I love what they're doing so far. I absolutely like trust them, and like they've got a 7-season plan, and I trust them to deliver on those 7 seasons based off these first 2 seasons. I think the first season, since I had read the books and I knew how the plotting structure worked in the books, and that's part of the reason, like, and I'll get to reviewing the books at some point on this channel. I'll go back and reread them and give them another shot. But for me, I did not like the plotting structure, and that might be partially because of translation and stuff too. But the first season, if you hadn't read the books or played the games, I feel like would have been, and I watched it with my fiance who hasn't read the books or played the games at all, and I have like game adjacent knowledge too. Like I know people who've played the games and talked to me about it, so I know some stuff from there as well. It would be super confusing for the first season. I know a lot of people really turned off by the timeline switching of season 1. Once you get over that and you understand what's going on, it is really, really good. And I think that season 2 took it up a notch. I really, really liked like both these seasons together. I really like, and I really trust them to keep going. And I want to see where this show goes. So, okay, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, or Shang-Chi, I should pronounce that correctly. I'm gonna put this above Suicide Squad. I like this a little bit more than Suicide Squad. There we go. For me too, I really like serious, more darker themes and storytelling. Comedic can get like, sometimes I do like a comedic type style of film, and that's kind of what Suicide Squad is, but it's not my personal favorite. Like I can do, like, I like comedic elements being in, but I like these more like these darker things that characters are dealing with, and I liked Shang-Chi quite a bit for those. My big problem that for me that really takes it down a little bit to this tier, because I think it could have the potential to have moved to an A, is I think that the fight between Shang-Chi and his father should have been the concluding fight to the movie. I think that was the most emotional, impactful fight, and I felt like the third act CGI army of minions, of alien type minions. I know they're mythical minions, but it's the same concept. It's the same thing as Avengers 1, and they've done that a billion times. I really felt like that took away from that moment, and I think that should have been the conclusion of the film and left on that note. People might disagree with me. I really think that like that for me hit hard, and hit in a good way. Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm gonna go with low B. I liked what they did in this. I did not like the episodic release of this show. This is not a show that was meant to be released week by week. This is a 6-episode movie. This is meant to be watched in 1 or 2 sittings, because everything does not feel like an episode when it cuts at the end. And I kind of want to go back and watch this again. There were things I liked about this show. I wanted a little bit more from it, but there are some cool things. And again, this phase 4 setup stuff, this obviously is a lot of like setup for Sam becoming Captain America and stuff like that. And I think this is a show that they needed to make Sam Captain America. They needed this time to develop both of these characters and their relationship. And Zemo was awesome in this show too. I loved that. But yeah, again, this is like something they needed to do. But it doesn't, like, I think this will get better as we get more things going forward, as we see where these characters go to. All right. The letter for the king. I want to put it, yeah, like right there. This was okay. I didn't mind it. I don't think it was like, it had a lot of traditional fantasy tropes. If I remember correctly, like there was like a twist with, like, I think the main girl being the magical one and not the main boy, which was okay. I don't think it was set up super well. I'm pretty sure this is based off like a YA book series. It's all right. I'm not mad I watched it. It was early on to when I was like starting to like kind of pick up the channel, and I was just like picking up random shows to watch, and I gave it a shot. It was okay. I'll just leave it at that. Ted Lasso. So I've only reviewed season 1, but I have watched season 2 on the I need to review season 2, or maybe I have reviewed season 2. I don't remember. There was like a big period I watched, like, because everything came out in like November, December, and like with the holidays it was like super super busy for me, and I recorded like 14 videos in like a couple sittings. I don't remember if I got to season 2 of the review of this, but I'm gonna talk as if I have. So if I haven't, I'll get to reviewing season 2. I'll get to reviewing season 2 of The Boys and season 3 of Avatar. They will happen. I need to rewatch some of these again to really give them the attention that they deserve for a review. Okay, this is a show that I feel like I need to do a little backstory. So if you have watched or Drink and Discusses, you've probably seen Marcus on the channel, and he was kind enough to set these up for me as well. Mainly because he wanted to see my thoughts on these. He was determined to get me to watch this show. And, like, don't get me wrong, I was, like, interested, but, like, I have such a backlog list of things I need to watch and read that, like, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. And I there's plenty of stuff that you guys have recommended that don't get me wrong, it is on my list, and I super appreciate it. I can only do so much as one person. I'm trying to get through as much as I can, but I also don't want to burn myself out. I do this for fun. I do this to, create a community to discuss. This is not my full-time job. And I also have school on top of my full-time job. So I got a lot going on. I like to try to get to as much as I can. And I really, like, obviously I really focus in on fantasy mostly. I do branch out occasionally. This is a show I'm so glad I branched out on. And what happened was I went down to Iowa City for, I think it was around October, November, if I remember right. And I can't remember what it was for. What was it for? We were doing something, and I don't remember. There was like something specific, but I think it was right before Thanksgiving. There was a reason we were all hanging out. But we got there. We couldn't, not everyone. Oh, we were watching Wheel of Time. That's what we were doing. We were watching when Wheel of Time dropped. But we couldn't watch it Friday night because not everyone was free. So we waited till Saturday to watch it. But me and my fiance got there Friday night. And so it was like 9 p.m. We started watching this show. And when I get really into something, I will not put it down until I finish it. Like there have been times when I've been like really in. It doesn't even have to be like a super great story. Sometimes it'll just be like I'm interested enough that I just have to finish the story, and I will stay up way past when I should. This is one of those times. I stayed up, and we finished season 1 in one sitting. We watched the entire first season of this show from like 9 p.m. to like 3 in the morning. It belongs up here. It's really, really good. They play on a lot of tropes, and they deal like this is a comedic show that I absolutely love because it deals with these really deep personal mental health issues and stuff like that like I can personally relate to. So like that's obviously a personal thing, a personal perspective that I have But like this show like hit me super hard. Um, I honestly consider putting it above The Witcher. Like that's how much I enjoyed this show, and I'm really excited for season 3. I think season 2 was. I think there's a ton of good stuff in season 2, and like season 1, season 2, like I go back and forth. I think season 2 is like just a little bit weaker. I'm excited to see season 3, and I think that's gonna be it for it. And I love these shows that as much as sad as I am to see stuff like go, Queen's Gambit is one that's like one season. It's perfect as just one season. And that can be a problem with shows is that they just go on way like they do not make a plan of how they're gonna end, and it ends up kind of ruining everything. Like it can be have a really great beginning and then just like go on for too long and not conclude the way it should. I think 3 seasons is going to be perfect for this show, and I think season 3 is going to be awesome. I'm super excited to watch it. Nightmare of the Wolf. I'm gonna put it down here somewhere. I'll probably put it under Falcon Winter Soldier. Um, I'm not putting this in C tier. I think this belongs in B tier. It is a good movie. I enjoyed it. I think, but again, it's one of those movies that's used, I think, mostly for setup. Like it does tell a cohesive story on its own, but it's mostly used to set up season 2 of The Witcher and for you to understand Vesemir and the Witchers and how they were made and all that fun jazz. I think it's beautifully animated. I think it was a fun time to watch. But it's in conversation with The Witcher, it's those two together are great. It's definitely something I recommend if you do like The Witcher that you watch. But that's probably where I would like. This is not something I would recommend to someone on its own. I think if you have to like The Witcher and to watch Nightmare of the Wolf. Okay, still good. Squid Game. And people dislike my review on this, which was kind of surprising. That's okay. It happens. Not everyone has the same taste, but my review on this is I really enjoyed season 1. I know people had problems with like the VIPs and stuff like that. I think that I personally was kind of okay with it. I got what they were trying to do with it, and I was more than happy like to sit along for that ride. I liked some of the twists and turns at the end with the concluding. The one thing I did not like about this show was the fact that they basically, and it's obviously confirmed now that they're making a season 2. I don't think this should have been a multi-season show. I think this should have been a one-off season show that tells a cohesive story and then ends. I am probably going to watch season 2, and people might, say I'm being negative about it. I don't have super high expectations. It'll probably be good, but this is not a premise that I can get behind multiple seasons for. This is like a show it's kind of like The Walking Dead a little bit, which I think I really enjoyed the first couple seasons of that show. And there's diehard fans, I know, for that show, but this and that show have like, there's only so much punishment that I can take, and this show is like obviously it's super depressing, lots of good elements to it, but I don't think it's one of those shows that I think would have been like perfect as a single season show. But that's my personal opinion. You might disagree. Yeah, I think it's right there. I think that's fine. I actually might move it above the Dragon Prince. It's tough. These two, like a lot of these things, I do really enjoy. Uh, I think the Squid Game reaches a broader audience than the Dragon Prince, though, so I probably would put it above. Wheel of Time season 1. All right, this has been a nice and heated debate between a lot of people. I even got to the point where we're not doing a drink and discuss on season 1. because it is honestly, it's too volatile for me to talk about. Marcus and I are on super opposite sides of this. We're not super opposite, but like, uh, I personally, I there like the last episode specifically, I think is not good. That just straight up is not a good episode. I think they needed a couple more episodes to flush out this first season. I know a lot of people who have read the books are super, super pissed about this season. I get you. I've read the books. I love the books. I understand why they have to do what they're doing. From what I've heard is it's probably going to be 8 seasons. They have to trim. There is no way around it. They cannot fit 14 books. Wheel of Time is super hard to adapt into film because if like even if they did 10 seasons, that is 10 years of filming. That is a long time to get actors to commit to this show. I think I think that this is going to be hard to adapt. I want to see what season 2 has to offer. Season 2 needs to be better than this season. This season was not good enough for this show. And I think that especially like the love triangle, I did not like that change. I don't think it was necessary. It felt very forced into the show and like it had no consequence on the show. I think the last episode was super rushed and honestly just was not a very good episode. Like I thought up to 7 was pretty decent, and then I think 8 should have been 3 episodes. I think they should have split up the time. I have talked to people who are not book readers about this show. I've tried to like talk about it with quite a few people. I've noticed that people who are book readers are significantly more disappointed by the show than people who are not book readers. I get that because it's touching something that you love and you feel like it's been essentially tainted in an adaptation. I want to see what season 2 has to give. Probably season 3 as well. If those 2 seasons do not improve and it's the same quality of this as this show or as this first season, I will be ready to write it off. But I will not condemn it before I see more context for the show and see the greater story they are trying to tell in this adaptation. This season is definitely a C tier. Honestly, I'd probably put it below no, for me, it's above the Green Knight. I really did not personally like the Green Knight, but it doesn't deserve to be in D. Because it is like what it was trying to do is just it doesn't work for me, but I know what it was trying to do and I appreciate those elements of it. I personally enjoyed watching this more. I have significant problems with it as clearly discussed here, but I am not ready to condemn this. If you are, that's great. I respect your opinion. I understand that you do not like this. It's okay. You can disagree with me. My thoughts and opinions will change based on the context that we get moving forward, and we'll see. Honestly, there's a very good chance that if they stay at the same quality, it will be something that I say they have failed at. Okay, rant over on that. That's, again, volatile topic for me right now, and I think just the community in general, which is a shame, because I don't know. It's just hard to have a discussion about this show. I think that there's just a lot of there are a lot of hurt feelings, and a lot of people really, really love the books because it is a really great series of books. And I think that is definitely impacting the ability to really critically discuss the show. So, WandaVision. Okay. I personally really like this show a lot. I have had some people who don't. The last couple episodes were a little weird. I thought the first 6 episodes, this was like the best show to release in an episodic release. Out of all the Marvel shows that have released this year, this is the number one because the first, like, most of the first half of or basically up to like, I think it's episode 6 or 7, was meant to be an episode by episode release. The last couple were basically like a short movie. Setting up Scarlet Witch for the future. But you definitely benefited from that. I think I'm going to put it right here. These two are interchangeable for me. Actually, these four might be interchangeable for me. I really enjoyed a lot of this stuff. Obviously, I have problems with every single thing. WandaVision, I don't have a whole lot of problems with. I do have a problem with the Ralph Boner setup with the Quicksilver stuff. I thought that was kind of a pulling the rug out from under the audience, and I did not appreciate it. And who knows, maybe they'll retcon it in the future. They like to do that, so we'll see. And then that can change the context for everything. Because like this show totally changed the context for Wanda and Vision's relationship for everything up to this point. And I liked the elements of her dealing with grief throughout this show. I thought that was really well done, and it was a theme I could really relate to. So, Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah, that feels right. I loved this film a lot. It was honestly like, so I grew up and I watched the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. I don't remember two. I didn't watch 2 or 3 that much because I owned one, but I did not own 2 or 3. So I watched one a lot. I watched both Amazing Spider-Man movies, and I've watched, obviously, I've said on this channel plenty of times that I really enjoy the MCU a lot. Spider-Man No Way Home for me was the perfect film to tell. They wove so many plot threads in that film into such a beautiful tapestry that I can, like, it was wonderful. I left that movie so satisfied, and I, like, there were so many good elements to it. That like I cannot believe they managed to pull off with as much as they had going on in that film. I think one major thing, so I've never really had a problem with the a lot of people have had a problem with, I know, with the Spider-Man kind of being like mini Tony Stark. I don't really personally have a problem with it. Again, I'm not a big comic book reader, so I think I'm a little bit more okay with, you know, them trying out some new things. But I know they, like, a lot of the problems that people had, I felt like they ended up fixing in this, that a lot of complaints I heard about it. And one big thing I really liked about the movie is that it has lasting consequences for Peter Parker. I really don't want to spoil too much in this tier list review, but like the ending with his friends was perfect, and I thought they were gonna fix the problem, the consequences from this movie right there, and like cut, because that's what a lot of movies do, and they kind of flipped that on its head. They used that convention, that trope, to solidify the ending for me and like really hit home of like, he is alone. I thought that was super, super good. Okay. Titans. I think season 3 might be out. I have not watched season 3, but I have watched season 1 and 2. Nope. One more down. There we go. I don't like this show. I'm sorry if you do like it. I know there are people that like it, but it is bad. It is poorly written. And I feel bad. The thing is like, season 1 was okay. But then start of season 2, they take out the big bad Triton. I'm not super familiar. Like, I watched the Teen Titan cartoon when I was a kid, and I loved that cartoon so much, and I'm so disappointed that never got really finished. But the first season was pretty decent for this show, and I thought they had a lot to work with going into season 2, but they basically wrote one more episode. They basically put the last episode of season 1 into season 2, the very first episode of season 2, and then they went on to new stuff. And I think that was a poor decision. I also think they started with not the best choice of villain. I thought season 2 was super bad because there's a thing when you're writing, you know, screenplays or stories or whatever, where you have so many characters that you're juggling, and instead of like, there are so many interesting characters already in relationships that they hadn't explored, that season 2 should have been them exploring and getting closer as a team before adding in a bunch of new characters. But season 2 was basically just, let's slap in as many new characters as we can, it felt like, or like try to expand the team roster as much as we can. But they never spent time developing the relationships between these characters. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just not good. I know people who like it. I have a friend who really likes this, and he's basically like, yeah, I know it's trash, but I still enjoy it. And hey, if that's your jam, totally cool. I don't like it. I'm probably not going to watch season 3. Okay, I'm ending with Arcane. So, let me just take a drink of water. All right, this is going on for way longer than I thought it was going to, but all right, season 1 of Arcane. Not above Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm sorry. Above The Witcher, though. This was great. I loved this. I love the way they released this with the 3-episode increments, and each 3-episode increment felt like its own contained story, but also bled into the next arc of the story. Like, it all felt like it really belonged together. I think that the relationship between Vi and Caitlyn is some of the best relationship building romantic relationship building that I've seen for a long time. They didn't really fall into a lot of the tropes that I usually expect, and I felt like the relationship felt super genuine. The relationship between all the other characters felt very, very real. These felt like real people living in this world, in this super fantasy world. And I think that this is great. We're gonna see what season 2 has in store for us. But I trust them completely to keep going. There's a lot of story threads that they set up in 1 that I think they can keep going on into it. So we'll see. This is a show, if it was 1 season, I would have been kind of okay with it ending at 1 season because it was just such a good story. But I'm okay. I'm here for more. Okay, let's move. Let's just like look through and see if I want to move anything around before we end here. These definitely feel right. These feel in right order for me. These are good. These are the ones I'm kind of thinking about. I'm actually, you know what? I'm gonna move Invincible up 1 tier. I think that this show deserves to be up here for the first season. The first season was really good. I haven't seen it for a while. I watched it like right when it came out, so I think that has some to do with it. I think everything else for me feels pretty good. These I feel like are interchangeable. I could I really like Jujutsu Kaisen season 1. Yeah, I think this is good. I think this is where I'm going to end. I mean, this took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take, but I've reviewed surprisingly a lot of TV shows and movies, a lot more than I thought I did this year. And I'm excited to keep adding to this list. So if you did enjoy it, please like the video, subscribe. Helps out the channel a lot. I know people are sick and tired of hearing that pitch, but it really, especially like since this is such a small channel, like literally every subscriber and like does really help, and I really appreciate you guys who do go on every video and like the video and help out. Obviously comments down below if you want to discuss. If you don't agree, put your list, put what you don't agree with. Let's talk about it. I'm open to talk about some stuff. I might not agree with you, but that's totally cool. Everyone has their own opinion, and this is just my opinion, so I'm just one guy. Doesn't mean that like everything, like there's no hard set, this is like the definitive list. People are gonna have preferences, and that just comes with our lives and how what really connects with us and what doesn't. So all right, I think that'll be it. I'll see you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm probably gonna make these a yearly thing and just try to keep adding to the list and keep expanding upon what we got. And I'm excited for another year of reviews and new shows and new movies to watch. So I'll see you guys next time.